Hello and welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is May 13th, 2026. As always, I've got a lot of tweets for you to go through, but it's not financial advice. Okay, do what you got to do with the information. Okay, everything's looking a little bit red today, down about 1%. The charts don't look terrible though. We're just down to a line of resistance for the local bottoms here. Will it recover? Will it go up? I don't know. We'll see. BTC, I see, got dumped on both Binance as well as other centralized exchanges, Coinbase. So I don't know. Like, it doesn't look terrible though. But you never know when things will just go terribly bad or if things will recover and start going higher again. So I do hope that that does happen. I do hope that things turn around and things start going bullish again. So let's get into the tweets. So first one here, we have Stanny. Stanny is a kind of just TLDR'd the Clarity Act fundamentals here. Basically, the idea here is that if you want to build something in the USA, you're much more protected as a developer. If the US wants to lead DeFi, they need to give developers some freedom to build things without fear of prosecution. So you can read through this whole tweet and kind of see what he has to say about this. But I do hope that the Clarity Act does kind of give some solidity to the ecosystem and allow people to build more freely and more openly and without the fear of prosecution. Okay, moving on. So here's a pretty interesting tweet here. Okay, so this is a product built by both Convex and Yearn. And back in the days during the curve wars, they were kind of at each other's throat. Like, they were direct competitors. Both of them were trying to accumulate as much CRV as they could and get as much boost as they could and kind of compete with each other. And here they are. So we've got like two enemies traditionally, like historically, that have now come together and built something together, which is quite interesting. So basically what they have here is a stable coin called REUSD. And this REUSD is basically a stable coin backed by CRVUSD in Curveland or FRXUSD in Fraxland and all kinds of stuff like that. So you can kind of go through all this and get a better understanding of this. Maybe I will dig a little bit deeper into this and maybe even produce a snack sandwich video if it needs one, like if there is something here that I need to explain. I think it's pretty straightforward, but let me do a little bit more homework on this. But I thought I would share it and let you kind of now, if you wanted to dig deeper and look at it and see what's going on here. Now, I don't know how new this actually is. So if I go to resupply, I should follow this. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that for now and move on to the next tweet. Okay, so here we have Thorigal. He's produced this thing that is just absolute gold. Okay, so to make it very simple, basically what it does is you can take your transaction. So if you look at this video here, you go to your safe and you just, let me pause this. So you go to your safe. If there's a transaction in the queue, you can just copy the link from over on the right hand side here, and you can paste it into this tool, and then this tool will basically decrypt the entire transaction and show you everything that's going to happen, and even allow you to simulate what's going to happen, so you can kind of see exactly what happens. And then it doesn't require any internet access. It's just like it's all there. I haven't downloaded, I haven't tested it yet, but like this is the type of stuff we need. Like the improving of blind signing is a valid endeavor in my opinion, and this can help people to improve that. Now, what I said, I retweeted this out, and I said that basically, the person who builds the transaction generally knows everything that's going into it and probably doesn't really need to use this. But whenever there's a multi-sig, I've done it personally. I've been in a multi-sigs where I've had to sign stuff and actually trying to confirm that the transaction is built correctly is very cumbersome, very difficult, and very hassle, like a huge time hassle. But now with this tool here, which is free to use, you just have to use it, and you can very clearly see that the intent is actually the outcome of what that transaction will do. So if you are a multi-sig signer and you don't know about this, I highly suggest you give it a try. There's like no risk. The only thing it's going to do is take you a little bit of time to just kind of learn how to read the output that this thing produces. Okay, so moving on. So wallet Chan here, I don't use this wallet, but I'm considering looking at it and thinking about it. But so basically, they're the first ones that I see that have incorporated ERC 7730, which basically like allows the wallets to give people a better understanding of what they're signing. So this is not talking about multi-sigs anymore. This is individual users who get a transaction that is just a bunch of hexadecimal, and you don't know what you're signing, and you just sign it, right? So this is the first one to that I've seen that has integrated this fully readable human language stuff that you can read. Now, Rabby's always been pretty good at this. I think they were decoding it themselves without any kind of standard. But now that this standard is here, it's great to see this. So yeah, you could check this out. Check out WalletChan too. It does say that it's backed or powered by a token. So I don't know whether or not I like that, but I haven't used it. So I'm not sure how it works. But anyways, let's move on. So Benjamin here of Cap Money, he's tweeted out this idea. So Cap is announced this integration partnership with Hyperlabs. Now, let's see what he says here. One of the best security tools I've seen in my time is DeFi. In DeFi is the auto pause. So I agree with him completely. A few weeks ago, maybe last week or something like that, we were talking about the breaker switches, right? And how it was like people were calling a breaker switch. I think it was on Aave, but it wasn't really a breaker switch. It was just the team can pause the contracts, right? But having a third party able to like monitor a whole bunch of protocols and pause them when things are scary, that's a specialized service that is very valuable. I think if like worst case scenario, they pause the contracts and people get stuck for a few hours while they assess the risk. That's the worst case possibility. But having other entities, especially an entity that specializes in threat detection, to pause people's contracts, that's fantastic. I think this is something that almost every protocol should consider this service. Now, of course, it costs money, right? I don't know how much, but like it's a service, right? So consider it. Okay, there's this tweet here by Hey Anon. It's kind of just taking the piss out of something. Okay, so you see there's like Swatch. I don't even know how to say this. Like watch brands times Hey Anon, right? So it's like it implies that there's a partnership between these watch companies and Hey Anon, and it's them taking the piss out of this here. So DB Crypto retweeted this, like Cointelegraph retweeted Solana is partnering with these same, things, right? Like Swatch and this other, I don't even know how to say this, Peugeot, right? So DB Crypto says here, like top news outlets, so Cointelegraph, that this case, runs an AI-generated image as news. No fact check, no verification, just publish it. So I agree, like it's just taking a piss out of our ecosystem. Like this is a huge, Cointelegraph is considered a proper news outlet. They should be fact-checking everything that they tweet out, right? Especially like a retweet of something like this, instead of just like, anyhow, let's move on. So Kelp DAO has done this announcement here. So I'm not going to read through it all, but I'll read through this first little step here. Okay, so Kelp and Aave has successfully completed a series of steps for RS backing, including burning of the exploiter's RS on Arbitrum. So Kelp will unpause withdrawals tentatively within 24 hours after the first tranche of Layer 0 OTF. So things are moving forward. Things are getting done. This thing is being unwound, which is fantastic. And we'll see how long it takes for this entire thing to happen. But I do hope that it's going to continue to move forward. Okay. So I retweeted this thing yesterday, temple.fun. I saw it after my podcast, so I didn't mention it in the podcast. So it's a pretty cool game thing where like there's like basically it's like a way to create contests for tokens, right? So that's kind of the main idea of this temple thing. But what they did here is they launched this thing, this temple like platform, and what they did was they put an AI agent in charge of one of the contests, and the idea was convince the AI agent to send you the USDC. And there was like I think 500 USDC sitting in there, and that happened yesterday. And then today, someone has taken it. Someone has figured out how to actually convince that AI agent to send the treasury to them. And they used some sort of vault shares thing and convinced the AI priest to send over the treasury. So anyhow, that's what happened yesterday, and I think it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool game. It's probably really good for like some sort of like bug bounty type system where, you know, like, hey, here's a contract, figure out how to exploit it, and you can take the juice, right? And I think that would be pretty cool. Like instead of convince the AI agent to send you the money, it's like the AI agent is going to like simulate what you're doing. So, you know, convince the AI agent that you know how to exploit these contracts or this system of smart contracts and so forth. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to run this thing. Moving on. So yesterday I had, or even today, this morning, I had this long chat. As you can see, it's a long thread between, first DB Crypto says like, you know, the EVM approval system is absolute garbage. I said, you're being melodramatic. It's not that bad. It's not the worst possible decision ever. And then this guy Kenny jumped in and started shilling me on Move VM. And I had a long conversation with him. You can read through this, but in essence, I just want to mention that I don't think anyone disputes that like the approval system has some problems, right? Like it's not perfect for sure, but it's kind of what we have and what we're stuck with, right? But it's in my opinion, I think I articulated the best right down here, and that is it's just a case. I'd have to dig through all of the tweets and stuff, but it's a case of users misusing it. It's like saying guns are terrible. Well, yeah, guns are bad. They kill people, but only when people misuse them to kill people, right? So it's the same thing with approvals. Like basically just stop max approving things. It's as simple as that. If you just stop max approving things, then the problem of approving things is gone, right? Now, there are some other issues like you approve spending of a contract, and then in the next block, before you actually send the transaction, they change the contract, right? They adjust it. And Kenny does pull that idea out of his debate or in his in his side of the argument, right? So, but that's true too. But that's why we interact with immutable contracts. Like Uniswap cannot change their contracts. Liquidity cannot change their contracts. So don't use contracts that are upgradable, especially one block upgradable, right? Like you have time-based upgradability. So if you do send a transaction, if you do approve something, and then you do try to send it, then it can't be upgraded in that time frame. It takes 7 days or 72 hours or something like this, right? So just now that is an education problem, and perhaps people don't care. People don't do education. They don't have time, or they don't have the inclination, or they don't care, or they're just not intelligent enough or not careful enough. So yeah, the devs could avoid it, but actually converting Ethereum to like a Move EVM based system is just not possible, right? So it's like, should we be all using Sui? I highly doubt it, because it's centralized, and the VCs are dumping their coins all over everybody. But is it a better model? Probably. Like it probably is a better system. I don't know. I'm not that in depth. Like there is some issues. Like I think about like the idea of like every single wallet has an NFT for every single token they own. That sounds bloated to me, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. But anyways, so you can read through this argument between, or debate or whatever you want to call it. There's a little bit of like hostility in it, but I think Kenny and I kind of, throw a little bit of hostility at each other with like personal attacks, but then we kind of come around and fix that. So I started following him, and I hope he doesn't resent me for some of the things I've said and so forth, and we can be friends and debate things more on crypto Twitter. Okay, moving on. So here we have I can never pronounce this Italian name. So Guillemin. So anyway, this guy G Man. Okay, GD's talking about Larry Flink. So is Ethereum or is Sui or is MoveVM better than Ethereum? Well, I think it's not, because look at this. Okay, so Larry Flink's numerous videos about tokenizations, art marketing, it's literally telling you what's going to happen. So he's going to use Ethereum to do his massive tokenization endeavor, and he's talking to countries about this, not individual degens in crypto Twitter, right? So it's still a good bet to me. I still believe Ethereum is the best bet in crypto. Now, will Ethereum pump to the moon? I don't know, but I do know that Ethereum has the most utility. I can CDP it. I can use it to borrow. I can use it as collateral. I can use it in liquidity pools. I can use it to pay gas. It's just so useful that I feel like it makes sense to hold it. Okay. I have a long-term belief in Ethereum as a sustainable asset. So another take here is I don't know how true this is. I don't know this guy Crypto Tice. He's got a shit ton of followers, but 300,000. I'll follow him too. But I don't know how true this is. I didn't fact check this, but basically he says Europe is considering using Ethereum as the settlement layer for the euro stablecoin. Not a pilot, not a sandbox test, real financial infrastructure. So I don't know how true that is. That sounds like bullshit, but is it true? I don't know. It kind of sounds like it makes sense to me, but I highly doubt they would use mainnet to settle they must be using the L2 model if they are considering using Ethereum. But anyways, that's that. Let's move on. So Frax Finance has announced another partnership, another one. I'm going to do a tweet today or sometime soon about and just kind of collect these tweets. But another PegKeeper pool with this Piku DAO, Piku token, so USP stablecoin. I don't know too much about this product. I don't know anything actually about it, but it's just nice to see another project taking on Frax USD as their right side stablecoin. And I said it a little while ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think more and more projects should consider using Frax instead of USDC. Like USDC and Frax are systematically the same in the sense that what are they backed by? What are they, how do they run? What are their powers? It's very similar. However, USDC will never tweet out about Piku DAO. They would never help incentivize. So they are co-incentivizing this with Frax tokens and Piku tokens. So it's like you will never get that from Circle. Circle won't even the only thing you get from Circle is free bridging. That's it. And the rest, they just hodl all the coins, right? All the money. But anyway, so that's that. So Frax Finance, awesome. And the last one here we have is Guillaume Lambert. So Guillaume Lambert. So he's like 3 protocols I have now earned a perfect 5 green chart on DeFi Punked. So Uniswap, Curve, and our good friend Liquidity. So you can go to this dashboard. It's kind of built around the L2 beat model with these pie charts. And as you can see, There are 5 metrics of assessment. So verifiability, is the contract verified and heavily audited? Control, does it have any controls? Ability to exit, can you exit this, or do you have to, like, are you locked in here at all? Autonomy, is there any kind of actions that the team needs to run? And is it open access, permissionless to everyone? So 3 protocols, completely green. This one here, Railgun, has 1 red, and that is a ability to exit. So it says tentative pause, indefinite via 7-day vote. So the Railgun protocol still has a pause function, so they can pause this thing, and if after 7 days, so if you are in Railgun, you could get stuck in there and have to wait for the team to open that up. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope this has been useful and interesting, and thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.